Happy Tuesday. I am so excited to be here with you today. We are on YouTube. We are on Facebook. We are live with everything laser. So you're going to have to excuse me as I kind of look back and forth. But for these big launches, I love to be able to do stuff live so you can see exactly how this stuff works. It's not an edited video. And also you get to ask questions. So if you have comments, if you have questions, feel free to leave them. You can leave them on Facebook. You can leave them on YouTube. In the chat, and I will try to get to all of them. So we've got some time here. You can stick around as much as you want. If you need to watch this back later because, I don't know, you have work or something, then feel free to be able to do that. It will be on both platforms then. So I have a list of things we're going to get to, but I know things come up. So I will, as I said, try to get to everything. I have a lot of stuff planned. We're going to talk about what is laser, what problems does laser solve, what can it do, why has Melissa been spending weeks making laser everything. So let's get to all of that. So first things first, I am so excited you guys are here. I don't do lives a whole lot anymore because I have just found that the edited videos seem to do better because, you know, the algorithms, especially on Facebook. But here we are. I have two lasers that I'm going to introduce you to. One is the Xtool M1, which I think is perfect for crafters. And then the other is the Xtool P2. This is a brand new laser. It has a 24 by 14 inch bed, so it's a bigger, higher, faster production, best laser you will find in this price point. And we're going to get to all of that. So what can they each do? What can one do over the other? Okay, I have two helpers, and they are telling me that this one is listed on YouTube, is listed as unlisted. So Keisha's going to help us out with that, and hopefully that will be public. Otherwise, we'll just make it public after the live. So hopefully that gets fixed. Keisha, let me know if it doesn't work. Okay, so let's get right to it. So what is a laser? What problem does it solve? Who needs a laser? Who wants a laser? Do you really need it? It's going to help you with your crafting. What is laser? So the best way for me to describe laser to you is it's a light that essentially has this power that is able to like deteriorate a surface. Okay, to different degrees. So if you engrave, you're deteriorating to a certain degree. If you score, you're just basically engraving in a line. And if you cut, you are going all the way through the material. So I have a really good example here of all of them. So engrave, cuts, which you can't see my hand through that one, and then score. Okay, so these are all done. And I'm going to get to the other information on here, but these are the three processes that each of these Xtool lasers can do. All right. The benefit of a laser, though, is it can work on materials that other things you might have in your office, in your shop, in your craft room can't. For example, and I have a lot of them, so we will get to as many as we can. Acrylic. So this is an acrylic cake topper. This is an SVG design I had as a cut file that I engraved and cut on the P2. Now that's important because these two have different types of lasers, okay? And that's where the difference in price comes in. And I'm going to get to all of that. But this laser over here is a 55 watt CO2 laser. If that means nothing to you, it just means it's an extremely powerful laser that can get through materials like transparent and clear acrylic. It can engrave glass. It cannot cut glass, but it can engrave glass. And it works very quickly. And I'm going to tell you that, give you a comparison in a second. The Xtool, the M1, excuse me, has a diode laser, a 10 watt diode laser. And the diode lasers are much less expensive, which is why you see this one come in around $1,000 versus this one, which starts around $4,000. It's the difference in the lasers themselves. The difference, though, in the actual laser is that this one is not nearly as powerful. It's a different type of laser. Okay, so it's meant for crafters. It's meant for hobbyists. It takes longer to do things. So what we have here, for example, is these three examples: engrave, cut, score, and one of the bicycles. On the M1, I did this just within the last hour. It took 12 minutes and 18 seconds for the M1 to do those three processes. Don't look at the second one over here. I'm going to get to that in a minute. This one, obviously the exact same engrave, cut, score, bicycle was done on the P2. That one took 5 minutes and 13 seconds. So if you are running a business, you can see that you will save more than half the time by using the P2, okay? So that's one of the big differences is just the power and the speed and the ability of things that it can do. But let's talk, what can the M1 do? There's a lot of things. Silicone, okay? It's difficult to see on here. Vinyl does not stick to silicone, okay? Nothing sticks to silicone. However, you can engrave and score silicone. So here, this one's easier to see. This is just a baby bib, okay? This one I can tell you is on there. It's in person. It's very easy to see. In the video, it won't be, but I have pictures on the blog. The other thing both of these can do, obviously this one much faster, you can take the tops of these are bamboo tops, customize them, okay? So if you're looking for ways to make money in your tumbler shop, being able to add tumblers that have silicone, bamboo tops, make them totally different than what your competitors are doing, awesome. Okay, so here's a couple other silicone items. I'm just going to show you. This watch band was done on the P2, but the Xtool could do it as well. I have another example that was done on the Xtool. These are shampoo travel containers. I just personalized those. Again, all of that is silicone, but silicone is just one of the problems that a vinyl cutter runs into you can't use. So what about wood? Okay, here's a wood cutting board. Again, totally customized and engraved. This one was done on the M1. All right. This design was an SVG cut file from So Fancy. I just added the names down here, totally engraved. If you make wood signs, you can cut all of the individual pieces. This was cut and then painted and then assembled. It's not even done yet, but you can, these are very, very popular. This was done on the M1, again, also could be done on the P2. I'm trying to give you examples of things that can be done on both. Leather, okay? This little leather wallet, got it from Amazon, engraved my daughter's name on there, okay? Metal, this one I was just learning. We're going to talk about this one in a second, but this was a metal candle that I had. It's painted metal. It's not centered. We're going to talk about that in a couple minutes. But I want to give you some examples first. Slate coaster, again, not centered. We'll talk about that in a minute. I know you all want to know about tumblers. Tumbler, engraving tumblers. This one was done, this one, and I don't know if you can see the other one over here. I'll pull it in a second here. Done with the M1, can also be done with the P2. This one I was practicing on, okay? This little wood ornament that you see here, first thing I did, okay? So I have tutorials on a lot of this stuff, and I also have some advice. You are not going to start with a tumbler. You are going to start with something very, very simple, like a piece of wood that is engraved and cut, so that you can learn the process, okay? The faster you learn the process, the faster you'll cut down that learning curve, and then you can apply it to all the other things that you want to do, and I know that there are a lot of them. You are not going to use a $15 tumbler to practice on until you get the process down, okay? All right, what else? I'm going to show you just how intricate this can be. Earrings, wood earrings. Okay, here's some more wood. I haven't finished this project yet, but this is a clock that will be put together. You can see how small that is. Leather coasters. Again, these are not Xtool brand. This stuff is just from Target. I went to Target and I was like, oh, I can engrave that. I can engrave that. I can cut that. Okay. Amazon, got different things off Amazon. Again, a silicone spoon. This was engraved with the M1. Okay, so you can see there's a ton of different examples. Just give you a few more. This keychain was purchased. I cut the heart out of there. This is 9mm wood. Okay, so you can see it's pretty thick. And then actually what I did was I used this little heart and added its own hole to add to this acrylic keychain. Okay, this acrylic is 2 layers. And this was cut on the P2 because the X1, while it can engrave some limited dark, super dark, not, it has to be opaque, dark acrylic. it will not go through translucent, it will not go, or transparent, it will not go through clear. So lots of different things. And then this one was engraved. This is a keychain here. So tons of different things that you can do and add to your shops. So I'm going to do a demo here so you can see the process of how this works. But a couple of other things. There's a lot of things that you can get that go with the Xtools aside from just the machine. So what you can see here, this is my Xtool M1. This is the craft version, as we talked about. Hello to all of you who have joined a few minutes late. If you're on Facebook, welcome. If you're on YouTube, welcome. I'm going to give you, I have a deal for you. I'll get to that at the very end, but I just want to get through as much of this as I can. So this is the machine itself right here. Okay, this is the laser, the M1. This part down here is a base. This is an add-on. So do you need the base? There's also what's called the rotary for if you're going to do tumblers. There's also this thing called Air Assist, which no one has any idea what Air Assist does. And I am going to tell you not only why I think the Air Assist should be built in, but why you no-brainer need to get it for the M1. The P2, it is built in. Okay, so you don't need to add it for that. But here is the best way for me to describe to you why you need the Air Assist. So if you look at these two, see if I can give you a better. If you look at these two bicycles, the one here used Air Assist and this one did not. And used Air Assist, this one did not. What you can see with these two is this one has scorching. Okay. Also, this is the one that did not use Air Assist. Okay. This is the one that did use Air Assist. So there's no scorching. So what the Air Assist does, and it's just this very small little unit. It's back behind here. I'll show you in a minute. What it does is it basically attaches over top of the laser. You have to install it on the M1. On the P2, it's already installed. It comes installed and assembled and everything. On the M1, it's a pain in the booty to install. I'm just going to say it right now. However, if you get it when you are setting up your machine, it makes it a little bit easier for you to do it. But what it does is it essentially blows air while you are engraving and cutting, specifically with wood, and it will make it so that the laser is essentially not burning that wood as it's passing and repassing over. So it gives you a much better finished product, as you can see with where I put that other little guy up here. Okay, whoops. So you've got scorched, not scorched. Okay, these were done same piece of material, same exact settings, one with Air Assist, one without Air Assist. Okay, so I would hands down recommend that you add the Air Assist on. And I have a coupon code for you that I'll share. It's M1 deal $50. That's going to get you $50 off the bundle that includes Air Assist. So essentially you get Air Assist for free. But I have another one as well. So just hang on to that. So the other add-ons, you've got, as I mentioned, this riser. So what this riser does is it lifts up the machine. I'm sorry for those of you on YouTube, the camera's a little bit. So it lifts up the machine, and this allows you to engrave or cut items, products that are thicker. Okay. So for example, when you're using the rotary, and this is part of the 4-in-1 rotary, it comes with a whole bunch of pieces. Bit overwhelming, but of course I have a video on how to install and use it. But it's a 4-in-1. So this would go right in here, this way actually. Okay. And then you would put your tumbler right on here. And this is how I have a tray in here right now, but this is how it would engrave. And so this base lifts the laser itself up so that you have room in order to do this. And then when you're not using anything that's this big, you've got this, it's very difficult to see, but it's called the honeycomb tray, and it comes with the riser. So the riser is 4 pieces. It's one, this is just a side. This is another side. And then you've got this piece of acrylic that guards you safety-wise from the laser. And then you also have one of these on the back. Now, if you do not get the riser, you can still use the rotary. It comes with, I'm not kidding you, 4 little blocks of wood that will hold the machine up itself. This is a laser. This is a laser that uses fire. I would not mess around with 4 little blocks of wood to hold your $1,000 laser machine. Okay. please, if you are going to be doing using the rotary, please go the extra little bit and invest in the riser as well for safety. Okay. It also, when you're using the legs, it doesn't have this guard. And if you know anything about laser light, you don't want to look directly at it. So you will want to wear the glasses. Those do not come with it. So you will want to get those as well. Now, speaking of safety, well, let's take this out of here because we're going to do a demo, but I'm not going to demo a mug. Okay, so speaking of safety, filter. You need a filter, an air filter. Sorry. You need an air filter if you are inside, okay? So you probably can't see mine. It's down under my desk here. I use it for both. I just swap the tubing out. You're likely not going to have both, but you likely also don't have 8 million printers and cutters and lasers. Okay, so that's okay. But what you do need is a filter if you are not able to vent outside. You see these little windows I have up here? They vent to like the hallway foyer of this office building that I am now in. Okay, so that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about if you are in your garage, if you have a window access that you can open and filter out, have at it. But you can also add a filter on. So if you are following, you need, if you want it all, the filter, the riser, which comes with that honeycomb tray, the rotary, and then the air assist. You don't need all of that. But if you are going to do tumbler specifically, I would add the riser and the tumbler or the rotary. Okay. So if you're going to get that everything bundle, I also have a code for that, which is $100 off that the girls will both share. Ashley and Keisha will both share for you in the comments, and it's also in the description, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube. Okay. So let's talk about how this actually works. Okay. So one of the great things about the Xtool is that it works on its own software. It's called Xtool Creative Space. You can use the designs you already have, whether that's an SVG, a PNG, a JPEG. SVG is ideal. It's what I would recommend, but you can use other design files as well. You guys know this is Silhouette School. I design almost everything in Silhouette Studio, export as an SVG, pull into Creative Space, but you don't have to do that. You can. It does have some functionality, design functionality in the Xtool software, which works, by the way, on a Mac and a PC, which if you're a Mac user like me, is a huge deal. So it does work on both. Now, what you can do in there is all your texts from your computer that are installed on your computer, they will show up in the Xtool software. So you can just do your typing in there. If you need to add an offset, it's in there. If you need to add like a little circle to something like a keychain, you can do that in there. Okay, you can control what lines are cut, what lines are engraved, what lines are scored, all in the software. So and it actually has some basic shapes in there as well, and they're adding more. And one thing that I really like about the Xtool in the couple of month or two months probably that I've been working with them is they are really good about feedback. So there's been several things I'm like, I don't care for the fact that this doesn't come with Air Assist. And it was like, yeah, that's why we added Air Assist as an option later and integrated it with the new P2. You know, there's several things like that. And then doing the same thing with the software. They're continuing to come out with new updates to their software. So let me show you how this works. One thing that's great is you can maximize your material. So I have this piece of wood. Samples of this come with both machines. So that's awesome. So you can practice. So this here, you can maximize this. This piece is not done. I am going to place this piece of 3mm basswood back into my M1, and we are going to cut and engrave on it right now. So that's so great because you are not wasting. So same thing happened here. I could do that as well, but we're going to use this one. All right. So what's going to happen is I'm going to place this in my Xtool. I really am sorry that you're not able to see this view, but if you can't tell, I'm kind of a one-man band here and I'm doing the best I can. Okay. So it's in there. What we're going to do, I hope you can both kind of see the software. I know I'm off camera for Facebook. I apologize for that. So what I'm going to do, I know it's far away as well. I'm just going to refresh my page or refresh the camera. Now, both the M1 and the X2 have cameras. that is what is now allowing me to see my blank or whatever that's in here. Okay, so this is one of the cons, one of the things that I wish was different about the M1. The M1's camera is located, it's on the frame of the machine. Okay, so it's placed right under where my hand is, stationary. That means this goes all the way up here. This is a 15 by 12 inch laser area bed. Okay, however, because the camera is stationary on the back, it is basically shooting out like it's like a fish eye. Okay, which means it's not accurate as much as I would like it to be the further away from the camera you go. So remember we were talking about this slate, and same with this metal lid. These were placed in here, but close to the front, close to where I was. And in the software, it appeared that my design was centered. However, because of the stationary camera, it skews your view. And that is one of the things that I wish was different. Now, there is something called framing that will help you, figure out exactly where your design is going to go. So framing is basically the laser comes out and it does this like, and it shows you this is where yours is going to be. However, if you're doing something very small like this, I mean, this is small. This is a spoon. This is like a toothbrush size. It's very difficult to make sure that it's accurate on this one. Now, the P2 Pro version, more expensive, has two cameras. One is stationary. The other is on the laser module. So you have the option on the P2 to get what's called a close-up. And basically that allows you to get a top-down view of anything that's in the laser bed. So if I have a product up here and I say, give me a close-up view, the laser module itself with the camera on it goes, and it goes to that spot. And then I can get a close-up. Oh, okay, I know I need to put my design right here. And even though it maybe doesn't look, if I didn't have that, it wouldn't look like it was centered. Because of the top-down view, it's very, very accurate. Accurate enough that you can do things like this. These are pencils. Look how small that is, okay? So these are extremely small, and it would be very difficult to get this so accurate, especially when you're doing volume, because you could maybe do a couple on here right close to the camera. But if you have a whole jig's worth, like this is a jig, this is not for pencils, this is for watch bands. But if you have a whole jig's worth of pencils, some of them are going to be further away from the camera, and the further down you go, it's kind of like print and cut. The further down you go, sometimes it gets more and more and more off. You know what I mean? So that's why this is the camera in this, they definitely upgraded. It's much, much better, more accurate. Okay, so let's actually do this. So you can see on my computer over here, I have what's in the M1. Now I have a design in here that I'm going to move. All I have to do is move to a spot that does not have anything. So you can't see it, but I've moved it, into an area that has not already been cut. Then, then I need to tell it which lines I want engraved and which lines I want cut. So in the software, and again, I apologize that you can't see this closely, but I do have videos on this. I'm going to tell it I want these two to cut. I want this with the name to engrave. Okay, and then there are a whole list, just like if you're used to any other cutting software. There are a list of default materials. So 3mm basswood is one of them. So I'm going to pick that, and it's going to tell me what the best settings are, and then it's just going to do it. Now, before I send it to start, which all I have to do is click start, it's going to give me a preview screen of what is going to be happening. Before I press start on here and then the start button here, I want to do two things. I want to turn on my air assist, and I want to turn on my filter. And I'm warning you because it gets a little loud with both of those air things running. So give me a second while I turn them on. Okay. This little thing right here is the air assist. Okay. It's connected. Just need to turn that on too. Okay. And then I will press start. and it's going to tell me, okay, your machine is ready, so press start again. Okay, now you won't see anything down here while it's engraving. When it starts cutting, you will likely see some type of a blue light because that means the laser has gone completely through the material. Okay, so while we're waiting for that, what are some of the pros and cons, and how much does this whole thing cost? Okay, so we talked about the whole shebang, the whole setup for the M1. That everything is going to be about $19.50. That's for the laser, the M1, that's for the base, that's for air assist, that's for the filter, that's for the rotary. Okay, that's the one that I have $100 off for. The P2, if you can get in for under 42, 43, I forgot to write that part down. If you want everything, it's just about $6,000. This is an investment for a business. Okay, it's bigger. Like I said, the price point is really due to the type of laser. So if you're doing research on lasers, diode versus CO2, totally different. This one is more in line with the Glowforge. Okay, however, it has a 55 watt laser, CO2 laser, as opposed to their 40 watt. It has a bigger bed. Okay, so there's some differences there. These are both Wi-Fi. I'm not connected. You can't probably really tell, but you can use them both with Wi-Fi, so you don't have to be directly connected, or USB. The P2 also has an Ethernet connection option that you can use as well. You can switch back and forth. You cannot run them both at the same time, and I wouldn't be able to because I only have one filter. So acrylic is a big thing that people ask about all the time. This is, so you can cut or engrave acrylic here on the P2 without taking off the paper. Just protects from, fingerprints, oils, different things like that. You can see these cut straight through. And then this is what I made with that. It's just assembled with some, adhesive that you can use on acrylics. All right, so those are things. But and here's another one. So this is another cool thing. Depending, again, if you are in the vinyl business, a t-shirt business, if you are in, apparel, you can make, there's different things that you can do with a laser for apparel as well. Leather patches for hats, super popular. Okay, you can engrave, and I haven't done this quite yet, but I have a sample over there that I'm about to do. Mink blankets, felt blankets, you can engrave on them. Okay, if you have a vinyl cutter or you have a roll-in, for example, you can match your acrylic blanks with designs that you print and cut or just cut on vinyl, okay? Because you can use the same SVG for both. So then that will allow you to basically make the die cut. And that's exactly how I did this one over here. So you have the ability to really expand your crafts and your small business with a laser. But if you're wondering like the size of this, so I'm standing in front of it. If you don't have the base on there, the footprint is about the size, I would say, of like an SG500, an SG1000, a Sawgrass printer, sublimation printer. The base obviously just lifts it up, so you don't need a whole lot of room. This is not very big. I mean, this is pretty small. You can see this one is bigger. This is, off the top of my head, I forget what the exact dimensions are, but I do have, if you click the link that I shared for the everything to know about laser, it has the exact dimensions and a side-by-side comparison of the two. Okay, so what else were we going to talk about? We were going to talk about the pros and cons. Pros and cons of the M1. Pro, compact desktop size. Definitely a huge benefit for people who have limited space. I'm not sure if it's for my dining room table crafters, but if you have a designated space, even a corner, this will work. It's also, it's pretty portable. There is another version called the F1 that's really portable, but that I don't have that one, and so I can't speak too much about it, but I will say that that is also an option. Relatively inexpensive price with an asterisk compared to other lasers in this market. So it's very difficult to compare this to anything else because this is a fully enclosed, safety first, laser meant for crafters. The Glowforges are very popular. They have a name. However, they're much more in line as far as size and price and laser type with the P2. And so this is going to be a really good option. If you are if you've gotten into sublimation, you know that sublimation is about the same price point, especially in SG 1000. Okay, so this is finished. So let's pop this out. So let me turn off those filters so I'm not yelling. And then we will let me get this out of here, and then I will okay, so here we go. Just pop this out. Okay, you can see I made that little hole there, and that popped out as well. So I don't know how long that was, but I can tell you it was 4 minutes and 30 seconds. It tells me. All right. So if I was to do this on the P2, it would probably be under 2 minutes. All right. Okay. So let me continue on with the pros and cons. Very easy, user-friendly to use. All right. Enclosed design, which we spoke about. That's the safety. If you've seen some of these other, even Xtool has them, the D1, for example, it's not fully enclosed. And so if you're concerned, which safety is a concern with a laser, the enclosed models are definitely much more safety first. Expand your crafts. We talked extensively about this, the ability to go where vinyl can't go, whatever that means for you. Go where a cutter can't go, wood, silicone, acrylics, different things like that. You can use the same designs you already have. You don't need to start your library completely over. If you have a stockpile of designs from So Fancy that are SVGs meant for vinyl, you can certainly use those for laser. But there's also lots of laser designs as well, so you can use those. The ability to import SVGs, files, PNGs, and JPEGs. Oh, one thing I have failed to mention, I don't know how I forgot to do this. This is a hybrid machine, which means it includes not only the laser that can engrave and cut, but also a cutting blade. So you could put, and it comes with cutting mats, you could put a sheet of vinyl in here or HTV and cut on this. So if you're looking for something that really is a do-it-all machine, the M1 is a really is really going to be great for that. The P2 does not have a cutting blade. This is the one that has the cutting blade and the laser. Okay. Also very easy maintenance. It does create some dust. It does create, especially depending on what you're cutting. Silicone gives it a lot of dust. If you're cutting as opposed to engraving, you're going to get, dust as well. Although engraving does create dust as well. However, I just use something small like this, and it's done. Okay. You can get tons of different blanks on Amazon, on Target. And I have a whole list of those that I'll be sharing as well. So some of the cons, as I talked about, does not have built-in air assist. Camera position and accuracy, as we talked about as well. Wish that was better. You can get around some of that with the framing option. It's slow-ish, right? It's slower than the P2. So here, another thing, one of these spoons was done with the P2. One was done with the M1. One took a minute 30. One took 3 minutes. So half the time or less, because like I talked about before with that other sheet, I don't know where I put it. Oh, this. Right before I did this, 5 minutes and 13 seconds for this whole set on the P2, 12 minutes, not including this one, the exact same thing, 12:18 on the M1. So if you're looking for speed, the P2 is going to be where you're going. It can't cut most colors of acrylic. So that is, again, a definite con if you're looking for things like signs, keychains, acrylics, different things like that. Now, I need to find my other paper that has my pros and cons of the P2. I see, I prepare for this. This may look like it's easy, but this is like a week of preparing here. The P2, big things, pros for this: fast and accurate, powerful, very, very powerful. A 55-watt CO2 laser, really, this is something that is very new to the market as far as like the power of this laser for in-home desktop. Built-in air assist, again, I mentioned that. I will say this air assist does not work as well as this air assist. You cannot add air assist to this. This one has it built in, but the built-in version is not as good. And I did speak to Xtool about that, and it's basically they had to kind of find a fine line of what fit well in the machine itself and what gave enough air assist that you weren't getting scorching. But I do think that the air assist was sacrificed just a little bit. Large bed, 24x14. So you can make large signs. Also, that is just as it is. you can also, and my riser hasn't come in yet, but you can get a riser and then these extension legs, which I can't show you because my computer's resting on it over here for YouTube. Then it has a pass through that you can cut engraved for up to 96 inches. I cannot stress that enough. If you are doing big boards, wood signs, huge signs, 96 inches by 24. That's a massive ability with this P2. Now, you would also need like basically a whole room to set that up, but just so you know. Still desktop size. I just have this on a table. The camera position, as we talked about, huge benefit for the P2 to be able to have that close-up, accurate camera position and close. This is going to allow you to scale your business. Cons, as we talked about, Air Assist is probably the biggest thing. It's an investment for sure. I'm not saying any crafter needs both for sure. And I'm also not saying that any crafter needs a P2, but this one is definitely for a small business. I would not recommend trying to run a business with the M1 because I think you will certainly be wanting to upgrade very quickly. Also, the setups. I didn't talk about setup at all. I have videos set up for both of them. Very easy other than the Air Assist. This one, I was like, this better be freaking worth it because this was not the easiest thing to set up, and not because the steps are difficult. I have a whole video on it. There's a piece that comes from back here that needs to be pulled off, and it's very tight and hard to get off. You have to unscrew 11 different screws to get it off, and then you have to pour in, I'm not even kidding you, antifreeze. Have you ever? It comes with it. I cannot make this up. Antifreeze. You have to pour it into the machine. And I'm assuming, I haven't gotten to this point yet, that I'm going to have to refill it once it uses it all up. So those are my pros and cons for both of them. Now, I talked about I have deals for both of you. Swing Design is now selling Xtool, which of course I'm thrilled about. You guys know I love Swing Design work. Have worked with Swing Design for a long time, have purchased from Swing Design more than I care to admit. And they have some really awesome bundles that are only available there for both P2 and M1. So the M1, I have two deals for the $50, the $50 off. Anyway, the $50 off the base bundle that comes with Air Assist because I highly recommend that one. So that one will bring it down from $10.49 to $9.99 and basically give you Air Assist for free. That code is M1 deal $50. And then the everything bundle that comes with everything, riser machine, Air Assist filter, rotary, that will bring you down $100 off from $19.49 to $18.49. So that one is M1 deal $100. Okay, so there's no specific deals on the P2, but they all are currently on sale for the launch. I would recommend that at the very least, if you are going to get the rotary that goes with the P2, again, get the riser. Do you really want this thing up on little legs? This is a beast. It's 100 pounds. Okay, I don't know. I don't trust. I need it to be fully enclosed for me to feel totally comfortable. Now, I know we had some questions. So I'm going to try to see, someone's asking, can you engrave on textile, fabric, and leather? Yes. So I had some samples over here. You guys, I felt like I was setting up for a craft show this last month. Here is some leather that was engraved. Okay. So you can do that here. This is just to show precision and how small you can get with the leather. So yes, you can do that as well. I have a couple questions I'm going to try to get to over here. I was really hoping to engrave tumblers first. You can engrave tumblers. I just would highly suggest that you don't do it first. Learn the process. I'm actually going to give you guys the file that says cut, engrave, score so that you can see how easy those are to do. Get familiar with the software. It's a little bit, not that it's tricky, but it's different than what you've probably been used to before. And once you get used to that, I do have a video and I also have a blog post coming on doing your first tumbler. One of the things with tumblers that everyone is going to tell you is if you have a tumbler with a logo on it, trying to line up a design either exactly with it or exactly on the other side is challenging. So do what I did. Go to Target, the clearance section in the thermos aisle, get the stainless steel thermoses that are on sale and practice on the same one over and over. Be willing to sacrifice it. Okay, so you can see this one's got all kinds of fun little things on there. All right, there's also, I never mentioned this, but there is what's called a test array in the software, built into the software. This is one of those things they added after the fact because people kept asking, how do I test my settings? And it's just like cut settings where you have to test for your specific material. So they have something where you can basically just, and I don't have anything, it's similar to this one, but this one came out all the same for some reason. But essentially it will give you a grid of power and speed, and then a variant, and then you can look at it and say, oh, this is the best one for my material, and those are the settings that you use. So you only have to sacrifice one as opposed to like, let's just keep testing. Okay, so that's that. Any other questions? Let's see. I just got my Xtool last week. Thank you for sharing. You are welcome. Everything is so pretty. Thank you, my dear Keisha. Facebook chats I cannot see, but maybe if Ashley wants to message me, if there's any over there, I cannot see. So all of those things, links, everything that I mentioned, and I have a new hub on Silhouette School for everything laser. There's comparison charts. Let's move this. Oh, it just disconnected. That's what it's telling because I closed my computer. There's comparison charts between the two. I have a chart of what materials each one can cut, engrave, and blade cut, because the M1 can do that. I have a whole lineup of videos and tutorials coming. So if you get an Xtool, you should feel comfortable knowing that there will be support from me in the way of videos. You can email if you want to try Silhouette U. I will be adding videos to Silhouette U as well, and there you can get one-on-one help with me, chat help as well. And then of course, so Fancy, we have all kinds of designs and everything. So everything you need to get started, I should say, every one of the Xtools P2 and M1 comes with $500 worth of value for designs. You can pick designs and fonts you want from So Fancy. So that's a deal that's exclusively through Swing, along with those 2 coupon codes I gave you guys earlier. Okay. All right, you guys. I hope that answered a lot of your questions. I hope that you learned a little something. I hope that you are excited as excited about laser as I am. And if you have any other questions, these will be up on both YouTube and Facebook. So feel free to continue leaving comments, and I'll loop back around. See you guys.